In this video, I'm going to show you how to sing over a bass line. For creating practice number 3, you're going to sing melody patterns over a bass line. To start, we're going to be in Soundtrap in the studio, and since I know that I'm going to have drums in this because a backing track just sounds better with drums, I'm going to start with add a new track. I clicked beats, drums, and beats, and down here in the step sequencer, I'm going to do the kick on 1 common pattern and the snare on 3 common pattern. The pattern that I'm going to set up is actually going to be 4 bars long. So I could write my pattern out in each one of these step sequencers. You can see each one is a different number for which bar it is. I can also loop it out. So if I hover over the MIDI block here, in the upper right corner there's a loop. I'm going to click that, drag it out until it hits the 5. So that means it's 4 blocks long. You can see each block, and that would be 4 bars. I'm going to turn my loop bar on, pull that back in, so we have a 4-bar loop. Next, we're going to need a bass instrument. I'm going to click add new track, and this time I'm going to go to guitar and bass. Yesterday I talked to you about how to find the note names on the piano. If you click the note, it tells you the note name. So that's G, that's A, so forth. As you can tell right now, it's a guitar sound, not a bass sound. So I'm going to click here where it says rock, mountaintop lead, that's our sound patch. So I'm going to click that and switch it to one of the bass categories. The acoustic bass is a upright bass. That one is only paid, so we can't use that. But there are some electric basses, so that would be like a bass guitar. We also have 808 kicks. It's really popular in hip hop and pop stuff today too, and R&B. There's a lot of hip hop, just a lot of 808s in music right now. Also a synth bass. So the synth bass is going to kind of sound like an 808, but it's just slightly different. The 808 kick has a little more punch in the beginning. But there is a big variety of synth basses. I'm going to pick one of those for this example. That sounds pretty cool. I'm going to click that. Now I have my drum track and my bass track. Now that I have my track set up, I need to find my common pattern. For the bass common pattern, there are actually 5 that you can choose from. I'm on the Beat Theory Study Guide website. On the Create tab, since this is a Create exercise, I'm going to scroll down here to the Common Pattern Idea pool. So all of the common patterns are going to be posted in here. Since it's a bass line, I'm going to click Bass Lines, and I can see my 5 bass lines. What you need to know here is the pattern code. So the pattern code is actually the notes that you would use for your bass line. So since this one is A, F, G, I would find those on my bass. I can find which note is which by clicking on the key itself. I see this is A, F is here, and G. So I'm going to try just playing that. So if you want to record this way, you could do that. To record, you just press record and play. When you're recording bass lines, you want your notes mostly to move on the bar or every 2 bars. Sometimes you can make it change on half of a bar, but generally you want to keep your notes 1 bar at a time. There we go. So now I have my bass. I wasn't listening to the count off when it started, so my first note is kind of late. You can see that here. And the piano roll, I'm just going to click that, move it over. This one's a little bit early. Click it, move it back. Just click and drag so everything lines up with the beat. Great. And from that point, you could also just move right on and start recording your vocal pattern. You can also add the bass line into the piano roll. So I'm starting a new bass line here. I can see the notes, I can see C. I know that since it's a bass sound, we probably want to use something under C2. So I'm going to find A here. And I'm going to pick a different pattern this time. So this time I'm going to do A, D. So in this case, it's a low A, and D is going to be higher. We can see C1 right here, so that's a good range for that bass sound. So let's try that. I'm going to click A. We can see now I have A stretched out for a whole bar. I'm going to click and drag and bring that all the way out. So right now it's set for a little bit less than 2 bars. Yours might be shorter. When you press right, it just does whatever the last length was that you did before. So it's always going to be a little different. So I'm going to drag this out to 2 bars. I know that my first note was A, my second note was D. So I'm going to draw this here, and since I just drew a 2-bar line, the next note that I drew was a 2-bar line. I tried recording vocals once. This is my second take. So now that I have my pattern, I'm going to listen. Okay. So I'm going to try to think of a melody that would work with this. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, da, da. Da, da, da. Alright, so this time I'm not doing solfege because we don't need to follow any melodic patterns right now. It's just about making up melodies over the bass line. Once you're ready, you're going to click add a new track, voice and microphone, and I'm going to start record. I have my metronome off right now, so that's part of why my notes are not coming in at the right time. So I'm going to turn that on to just make sure that I get this right. Here we go. Dun, dun, dun. Da, da. So just singing on da, let's see how that turned out. Dun, dun, dun. Da, da. Dun, dun, dun. There you go. So that would be one variation complete. You can also change your vocal effects again in the same way, or leave it as is. The way that you'll label is by the common pattern code, and I will show you how to do that in just a second. When labeling your track, you're going to need to refer to the common pattern idea pool to know exactly how to do that. Since there are, in this case, 5 different common patterns to choose from, you're going to need to use the common pattern code that you used. So if you picked this for your baseline, AFG, then your pattern code would be, or your title of your file would be your name, the pattern code, attempt, and variation number. So to complete this assignment, you could do AFG 1.1 through 1.3, and then maybe do CDCF 1.2 and 1.1, as long as it still equals 5. If you are using the create your own baseline, using the pattern, the scale guide, you would use MOB or my own baseline for that variation.